Hey guys, welcome back to Brighter Rays. This week we are looking at Genesis chapter 42, and I entitled this, All This Has Come Against Me, which is what Jacob will say when he sees all these things happening to him, and he's like, oh, this is coming against me. So, let's take a look at what we have for today. Now, Joseph had been falsely imprisoned, right? He's a slave. He's falsely imprisoned for a crime that he didn't commit. He's falsely accused of trying to take advantage of Potiphar's wife. But through divine providence, he meets the cupbearer. And the cupbearer to the Pharaoh. And he is put in charge of him to watch over him in the prison, which is really amazing to think about. But the cupbearer, who would be freed from prison and restored to his former position, once he got there, he quickly forgot about Joseph. And because he said, yeah, I'll tell Pharaoh about you. But he didn't remember. Either he was so happy, that he's free, that he didn't die like the baker. We don't know. But he does forget. And 2 years go by, and then Pharaoh finally has two dreams that he takes to the magicians of Egypt, and they don't know what's going on. They don't have a clue. They can't decipher what the dreams mean. And then all of a sudden the cupbearer is like, oh yeah, I remember this guy, Joseph, in prison, and he told me and the baker whom you executed, he told us our dreams and what they meant. And he has the ability to correctly interpret dreams. He got it right. And the cupbearer suggests that Pharaoh would go to prison and get this guy out and ask him. I mean, if the magicians can't do it, you might as well give him a shot. What do you have to lose, right? So that's what he does. He's quickly taken out from prison. Joseph's released. He's cleaned up. Well, maybe not so much released, but he's brought before the Pharaoh. And he's cleaned up, and he's brought before the king. And the Pharaoh shares his dreams with Joseph. And Joseph interprets the dreams. And he gives the king also how to proceed. He gives him advice on, okay, here's what you need to do now. Now that you have these dreams, you have this warning from God. Here's how to proceed in the next 7 years, so you're not in trouble when it comes to the famine. So Pharaoh, listening Joseph, appoints Joseph as a wise man and second in charge of the kingdom, just as Joseph had said, the years of plenty come. And for 7 years, the abundance from the field was so great that it was like the sand of the seashore, which is crazy to think about. But Joseph brought in so much grain also that he stopped measuring it. Like, they started doing it at the beginning, but then it got to be so much, they're just like, well, we can't keep track of all this, so this store it, we'll figure it out later. And in those 7 years, Joseph actually had a family. He has a wife. Now he has two kids. Manasseh and Ephraim are born during these 7 years. And two separate tribes will come from Joseph, which is pretty amazing as well, since he was pretty much thought to be dead at this point. Well, however, 7 years of plenty come, but then the famine comes roaring on, and just as Pharaoh's dreams have foretold. Now, the abundance that the people had in their own possession was used up, and the people became famished and desperate. They need help. There's no food. And they call out to Pharaoh and say, help us. And he says, go to Joseph. Joseph's the man. So Joseph opened up the storehouses, and he began to sell to the Egyptians. And the famine was so great, it wasn't just in Egypt, but it also crossed many lands, across the whole earth, it says. And many people from all different parts of the world came to buy grain from Egypt, which is what Joseph had set up all along, right? They all journeyed to see him, to find some relief from the famine. And everything was coming to pass, just as Joseph had said. Now, in our story for this week, we're going to be looking at, we really find the first encounter of Joseph and his brothers after many, many years. It's really a story filled with emotion. There's confusion, there's fear, there's doubts. It's a very human story, and yet at the same time, this is a story about God. As we'll see, even Joseph's brothers know that God is doing something in their lives. They don't completely dismiss God. They're like, God's doing something here. What is God doing to us? And that's the thing that they're thinking, that these bad things are happening because we've done something, and so what's God doing now? Now, they don't know what it is. They don't know what God is doing, but they know that God is at work. And we're going to see, as we take a look at the different parts of this chapter, several different things. Broke it down into 4, really, so we'll go to Saturday this week. And in 1 through 6, we find Jacob fearing again. He's afraid again. We've seen this before. And we see the humbling of his family. His family is going to be taken down a notch. In verses 7 through 20, that describes to us Joseph's test that he devises for his brothers. He's a smart man. And in 21 through 28, we have the results of Joseph's test and the brothers' question, what is this that God has done to us? And then finally, in 29 through 38, we're going to look at how the brothers return home and speak with Jacob. And we see Jacob's response. And it really betrays his lack of trust in his sons. He doesn't trust his sons at all, really. And along with that, he's not trusting God to work through his son. So and ultimately, he's not trusting in the Lord to help. He doesn't trust his sons, and his trust of God is minuscule at this point. So tomorrow we'll look at verses 1 through 6, and we'll begin our study here.